did you have like any specific moments where you felt like I'm so glad that I chose art for my study or my job?
I have moments like that like all the time. I give lots and lots of tours at the museum and at the Alpha, and I haven't counted, but I've given almost 100 tours at the museum and at the inn, and so every tour is so different and so unique because each tour has different people on it. And I make it a point to make my tours like a conversation or like a discussion with my group. So I'm not just talking at them the whole time, I'm also asking them questions. And like I was telling you, when you stand in front of a work of art, ask the people around you. I want to get other people's opinions on what they think. And so there have been a lot of moments in individual tours where people have been, talking about things, or they've been opening up, or they've been bringing in personal experience. And I'm like, this is so beautiful that we can all connect over this work of art. We're looking at the same thing, but we're gaining so much new and so much different meaning from it together. So those moments for sure, I always think I'm so happy I did this, and I'm so happy I became a docent so I can sort of share with people.
Yeah.
But also this past January when our exhibition opened up was also a huge moment because we had worked on it for 2.5 years. We have this big sort of opening night for every exhibition that comes, and I had brought all my family there, and all my friends from school were there, and I had friends from home that came, and even just friends' parents from elementary school, middle school, and high school. There were so many people that loved me, or that were there with me, and I described it to people. I was like, I'm like in the space I love, so in CFAM, which I love so much, surrounded by this art that I loved, all this art that I helped handpick with my fellow co-curators, and then surrounded by all the people that I love. And that was just this moment that like I can't even really describe the joy and love and happiness I felt in that moment.
Yeah.
But it was so much, and I was so glad at that moment that this is the path I went, because I can't imagine being as passionate and having as much love for anything more than I do for art.
Can you explain how a piece of art makes us a better person?
So because of course we have artworks from all across the world, and of course we're just one person from one place and with one experience, I think looking at artworks and being engaged with art just gives us so much access to different parts of the world and different people, different cultures and backgrounds. And so through that we really gain sort of deeper understanding of other people. We get to learn about different people that we may not ever be able to interact with in real life. We also kind of build up tolerance, I always think, so more tolerance for people that are different from us. So it's sort of, I always think of art as something that sort of acts against hate and acts against xenophobia, or like the fear of the unknown, because it's introducing us to people and places and cultures that we maybe perceive as very different from our own, and sometimes maybe even scary. So with the Middle East, people sometimes, especially in America, have this sort of strange fear of Muslims or of people from the Middle East. When we look at art from those countries and those cultures, we can sort of see our similarities with those people, and get to make these connections that sort of fight against that fear and that hate. And so I think for sure that looking at art educates us and builds our tolerance and builds our understanding and love basically for other people, despite our differences. And art and music are also so important and so accessible because they don't involve words always. I mean, sometimes you have art that uses text, and sometimes you have music that uses lyrics, but it's something that everybody can access. I mean, unless you don't have hearing or unless you don't have sight, you'll be able to access this art and be able to interact with it, maybe, understand things, despite not knowing the language of the person who created it,
So how do you think the experience with art shape you as a person?
Well, it's sort of broadened my horizons, broadened my mind. It's made me think about things a lot deeper, and also think about a lot of different things. So especially as I started to interact with non-Western art, so art beyond America and Europe, I was sort of exposed and introduced to so many different, again, cultures and peoples and histories that we didn't really learn about, in my normal classes. And so art for sure has made me more conscious of of our sort of global society. So thinking about the world and not just thinking about America and not just thinking about Florida where I've lived my whole life, but really encouraging me to reach beyond my immediate sort of space around me and the people around me. And
so why do you think learning art is important for younger people and their lives today?
I think anybody who doesn't have access to arts education, like you're saying, is an issue in Japan. I feel sad about that because I think that art adds so much to our life and enriches our lives and makes it more fun too. So even if you're not studying art, in an academic way like I am in art history, just being able to look at art, being able to create art or to listen to music is so important, and it adds so much to our life in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So people don't value art as much if they're not introduced to it at a young age, or if it's not part of their lives at a young age. So people who are, like you're told, do well in school and go get your job and then go work and make money and then that's life, then there never was, a place for them to learn about just the value of art. And so once you stop valuing a thing, you're probably not going to return to it because you already have written it off as something that's not important. And that's again why it needs to come in early in your life so people can build this love and this just respect for art. So then it'll stay in their lives because it's something that they already think is important in their lives. They think it's important to the world or important to society in general. They're going to want to keep it.
So do you think the learning art changed the way that you communicate with others?
Absolutely. Yes. I often think in images. I always say I've always been a visual learner. I always think in images. I learn best through images. And so there are so many times, this is just on a basic level, when I'm talking to people, I think of a work of art, or and when something happens in day-to-day life, I want to express it through a work of art. And I think there's something really special about being able to show a person an image, and then from that, being able to start a whole conversation. And so that's something I've learned about art, is there's so many very difficult conversations or really complex, big questions that can be accessed and that could be made a little more simple or a little easier to talk about if we just have a work of art in front of us. So that's a huge thing when I give my tours, is maybe an artist is talking about really difficult political issues, or they're thinking about something that was painful in their past, or something that was painful in history, like colonialism, and thinking about how places like Africa or places like Latin America were impacted by Western colonialism. That's something that you can look at a work of art and then sort of open up a dialogue. And so I like to use images if I can when I talk to people, but otherwise I just, I try to think about the different perspectives people are coming from and different positions people are coming from, because that's what art teaches us.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, I cannot wait to share with others.